At Morningstar Sustainalytics, we receive a lot of questions about SLB and SLL methodology and determining materiality. Here are our top 4 frequently asked questions. How does Sustainalytics determine materiality across different sub-industries?
So there are a few public resources as well, one of them being SASB Materiality Map or Finder from Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. There is ICMA KPI Registry for SLBs, which basically lists out core and secondary KPI for several sub-industries. And then we have our own ESG risk ratings, which issuers can use to determine the material issues facing their company as well as their sub-industry. So that's also a detailed way to determine materiality of the issues that they should bring for this transaction.
What are some of the common KPIs and SPTs used by issuers of linked finance?
It's very hard to pinpoint any common ones, but I'll say the most used ones are GHG emissions, as you can imagine, for many hard-to-abate sectors, whether absolute basis or intensity. So GHG emissions is on the environmental side. Then we have diversity-related KPIs on social side. I would say those are the 2 most common ones, but then there are sub-industry level specific KPIs that we see quite often.
How does Sustainalytics assess the applicability of KPIs?
So we assess the applicability of KPI based on how much issuers' overall operations are being captured in the calculation of KPI, and it affects the strength or the extent of which the KPI becomes material. So if a steel company has very small applicability with respect to their overall operations for that GHG KPI, even if that GHG KPI is material, because of low applicability, it can become relatively less material.
How does Sustainalytics determine the ambitiousness of a sustainability performance target?
So we determine the ambition of the targets being set around KPIs based on 3 different methodology that we have. One being comparing against the issuer's historical performance, so really their past performance measure. The second being comparing them with leading peers in their sub-industry. And the third being any scientific benchmark if it exists, such as for GHG emissions. So these 3 different methodology we use to determine the ambition level of those targets.